who are joining from various parts of the world. Today we are going to discuss about
who are joining
concept
from
of
various
Buddhism.
parts of the world. Today we are going to discuss about who are joining from various parts of the world.
So when it comes to Buddhism, first what we have to understand is what this Mahabodhisattva, or prior to becoming Supreme Buddha, what he was known as is Mahabodhisattva. So what Mahabodhisattva wanted out of this world, and what is his question, or what is his quest in this world? What was he seeking? What did he find out? So if we focus on what his mission was, he saw a suffering that most of us do not see. When it comes to life, he saw a certain kind of suffering that most sentient beings think that it is the blissful part of life. He wanted to find out a solution for this suffering. In order to find out a solution, he searched throughout his life for 6 years and finally found out how to get rid of this suffering. So we have to understand, or we have to find out what this suffering that most of us don't know about, that exists in this world, and most of all, we are subjected to that suffering with or without knowing. So we have 5 senses. We have eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body, especially skin. And by using these 5 senses, we take up signals and processed by the mind. So we take up images, sounds, smells, tastes, and touch. So these are the things that are taken up by these 5 senses. Our plan or our aim as sentient beings is to be blissful, is to find out pleasure. And these are the 5 doors we have in order to fulfill that task. So in our everyday daily activities, what we try to do is we try to fill up or complete these insatiable organs if we think about a usual day of a human being, this is true for all the beings in the universe. But if we take if we take a human being as an example, from the birth to the death, all the human beings are trying to get rid of suffering. We elaborate on that. Let's say an average human being in his 20s who has a job. Let's take a day of his life and try to reflect on what we are going through in our lives. So in the morning, he wakes up. Why? Because previous night he felt sleepy. That was a kind of suffering. If you had to feel awake throughout the night, you will feel the pain, you will feel the suffering component attached with it. So previous day you slept because your body wanted it and you felt blissful. You felt the sleep pleasurable. So when you wake up in the morning, that suffering part is no more. Now you feel fresh. But your body and your mind has other needs. So you want to maybe use the washroom, or maybe you want to have something for your breakfast because you're hungry now. Depending on what suffering you have, depending on what vexation you have in your mind and your body, you tend to do whatever the thing you are planning to do next. So if your bladder is full and that's the burning issue now, you will go to the washroom. Or if you're hungry and that seems to be the burning issue, then you will go to the kitchen to find something to eat. So when you think about it, not that you are doing something you want, you are trying to get rid of the vexation you have in your body and mind. So that's how the day is spent. So initially, so let's say you wanted to go to the washroom, then you went to the washroom. And now your bladder is empty and you feel normal again, neutral. Still, you don't stay in the washroom. Why? The thought of staying in the washroom is it's suffering. You don't like to stay in the washroom. So that drives you out of the washroom. So when you think about the small actions you have done during your day, you will understand all of them were done because there was some kind of a vexation attached to it. Otherwise you won't do it, mental or physical. So you now your priority is to filling up your belly. So you went to the kitchen You prepare something for breakfast. If you are not hungry, if you are very neutral, then you won't prepare breakfast. You will say, I am not hungry, so I am skipping breakfast. You are preparing something because you want to get rid of this vexation created by your own body. And in the process, you have to suffer. You have to prepare food. And preparing food or doing something is not pleasurable. It takes up your energy. And is more beneficial for you, you will anyway do it. So after a good meal, now you are staying in the living room. Now what you have? Now you have to go to work. You have to go to you have to do your things that you are doing to earn. So let's say you work at office. The mental discomfort or vexation that you have to go on time and that you have to perform your duties strikes in after some time. So now you have to go to work. You have to be there at 9. So if you go there late, there will be consequences. So the thought or the vexation that you will be subjected to consequences drives you to your workplace on time. So that is also then to get rid of your vexation, mental vexation. So all the tasks that are performed during your job are also done to get rid of these consequences and duties, various types of mental vexations. To get rid of them, you are performing these tasks. The society is also adjusted in such a way that you are forced to perform these tasks, that your mind is subjected to vexation so that you will perform better. So you will do these things not because you want to, but to get rid of the mental and physical discomforts you have during your day, during your daily routine. So after about 5 p.m., your day's work will be over. And now you are not going to stay in your office. Now again, a mental discomfort is there. Now you feel that your home is the place to be. So being in the office is a vexation. So you leave the office and you come back home. When you come back home, you feel tired. So your body, you are tired. You feel like having a bath or a shower. So that becomes the bliss at that time. So you go for it. And after that, we have different kinds of hobbies or things that we are used to doing for pleasure, for blissful sensation. These are most part connected to mental vexations. So some people are used to watching television, so pleasing the eye. Some people are used to listening to music, pleasing the ear. Some people are used to taking alcohol. Based on what things you are addicted to, there's a mental discomfort or a vexation that builds up in your mind to do these tasks. Otherwise, you won't do it. A person who is watching television will not want to do anything else at that time because his mind is vexatious, and this vexation can be reduced only by watching TV. It specifically may be a specific TV show. So he spends his time trying to get rid of that mental vexation. At the end, what will happen is you will become exhausted. Now, the physical pain or physical discomfort becomes more than the mental discomfort or mental vexation to watch TV. So now you feel sleepy. When the pleasure you are experiencing from watching TV is less than the discomfort that is created by the sleepiness, you will turn off the TV and you will go to sleep. Now that's a usual day of a normal human being in the current society. So if you think about it, it seems like your body and your mind, the vexations or the discomforts, sufferings in your mind and your body directed you in such a way to get rid of these vexations. Not that you spend your day on things that you wanted, but you had to do these things in order to get rid of various kinds of mental and physical discomfort you face during the day. It's true for someone in Sri Lanka, someone in USA, Australia, England, no matter where you are. You tend to have the same pattern. No matter how small you are, no matter how old you are, you tend to follow the same pattern. Even our ancestors followed this same pattern. Even our children, we were following this pattern throughout generations, and still we are stuck in the same process. We are still trying to get rid of the vexation, and we are doing each and every act, each and every action we perform are to get rid of this vexation. So when when Mahabodhisattva understood that there's this suffering, whatever we try to achieve, we could not. See, when we were born as infants, we tried to do the same. The only difference between an infant and an adult is infant has a small pool of vexation or problems, mainly physical, very low when it comes to mental vexations. But as we grow, our pool increases. Our pool of needs and necessities increase. So that now we want more and more things, especially to please our mind. So our sufferings related to mental faculty has become more. Now we want more and more things to please our mind. But the things that are needed to please our body tends to be more or less the same. So we tried yesterday, we are trying today, and we will try tomorrow as well. But whoever tried during the history of humankind, we haven't been able to win. We are doing the same thing again and again. And if someone asks, doing the same thing again and again and not having any effect or result, is it a clever thing to do, a wise thing to do the same thing again and again, knowing that throughout generations you have had nothing? Now a wise person would say that is not a good thing. That is not a wise thing to do. Thus it becomes essenceless. There's no essence. So when Mahabodhisattva understood that we have been subjected to, we are subjected to this kind of suffering, and we are throughout samsara, we tried to get rid of this suffering, but we couldn't. He wanted to find enlightenment, find a way to get rid of this suffering, find the root cause of this suffering, and to remove this root cause from the picture so that the suffering is gone once and for all. So we are also getting rid of suffering. When we are hungry, we eat. When we are sleepy, we sleep. But that kind of a relief is just temporary. It's not permanent. So what we want is a permanent solution. So this permanent solution is what Supreme Buddha told us with metta and kindness. How to get rid of this worldly sufferings. So the main culprit of this worldly suffering is avidya. The simple translation of it is ignorance. Ignorance is not knowing. Not knowing about what? Not knowing about the reality of the world. So what is the reality? It can be explained in 3 words: anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So we'll try to understand these 3 words, which explains the real nature of the world. So initially what we need to understand here is, when it comes to avidya, due to avidya or due to ignorance, we give value to items. And there's a hierarchy as well. We value us the most. And us means our mind and body. And then what surrounds us, what is beneficial for us. Our parents, children comes next, and our houses, vehicles, and other things that are our belongings, that we think that they are ours, comes next. And the list goes on. Our country, our world, everything that is said to be mine, depending on the degree of how much you are attached to it, it becomes a concern for you. So you give value as they are yours. So when you give value to something that there's no value, you give value to an object without value, then that's a problem. That's ignorance. When you give value to an object that has no value, problem started there, because you are doing something that you are not supposed to do. Let's take example here. When you are in a cold country, you find warmth very valuable. You want to be warm. So you will find a heater very useful there. But when it comes to a country like Sri Lanka, tropical country, there's plenty of warmth, we won't find a heater very useful here. In fact, nobody will buy a heater. It's like that for an air conditioner as well. If someone tries to sell an air conditioner to somebody living in Alaska, that person won't buy it. The person won't find any comfort by using an air conditioner in that freezing cold. But when it comes to a tropical country, the story is reversed. They will pay huge sums of money to buy this kind of a machine so that they can be happy. If we are selling the same air conditioner, same heater, and if the air conditioner has a blissful component attached to it, the heater has a blissful component attached to it. Why does a person who is living in a specific country wants it and another person who is living in another country doesn't want it? Let's say temperature is 25 degrees all over the world, no matter it's southern hemisphere, northern hemisphere, or near the equator. Everywhere is 25 degrees. If an air conditioner, a company that produces air conditioners, try to sell an air conditioner to a person in this hypothetical world, no one will want to buy it. Why? It's always 25 degrees. So think about a person, a salesman who is trying to sell this kind of a device to a homeowner. Now he has to convince that this person will get benefit by buying this air conditioner. So he will say, now you will feel good when you turn this on. You will feel cool. You won't feel tired. And it will be nice. And everything will be said. But the person would argue, I don't feel tired now. Why would I buy this? I don't feel hot. I don't feel warm now. Why would I buy this kind of a device when I don't have that kind of a problem? So that will be his argument. And in Alaska, the story is different. If they put an air conditioner turned on, then they will feel miserable. They will feel bad. They will feel more freezing. So they will want to get rid of it. But if you apply it here, then the story is different. You feel very blissful. Since the same air conditioner is being used here, we can understand that then the air conditioner has nothing to do with this, because we use the same air conditioner. So what's the difference there? It's the vexation we have in our body. When our body is vexatious because of coldness, we find warmth pleasing or blissful. When our body is vexatious out of warmth, we find coldness pleasing. So in order to enjoy an air conditioner, we have to go somewhere hot or warm. Otherwise, we won't be able to. So to sell air conditioners to citizens living in this hypothetical 25 degrees Celsius world, you will have to warm the place a little bit up so that your sales will go up. Otherwise, no one will want to buy your product. So that's what happens in this world. So everything is given value. So we say this thing is 100 rupees, $100. So we have assigned value to items outside in the outside world. So we can categorize them into images, sounds, taste, smells, touches. So we value these things and we give value because everyone in this world has the same view. So we get together and give a value to these items. So we say an air conditioner is 125,000 rupees. Let's say that's the normal value. So you're giving value to the outside item and not seeing the problem inside you. So if you see the problem if you see your problem, that only because I have a vexatious body that becomes very vexatious out of warmth is the reason why I need this kind of a device to get rid of the warmth. Then you will find this air conditioner useless, in the sense that you will not give a value to this kind of item and think that it is what gave blissful sensation, because it is not. You will still use the air conditioner. You will not throw it away, because then you will feel miserable. You will not feel good because you feel warm. But you know it inside that it is not the thing that gives you bliss, but your own body trying to become neutral from a warm temperature is what creates the blissful sensation. That's why when you pass the neutral temperature to coldness, you feel bad again. If you turn up an air conditioner to its maximum, and since you are feeling warm, up until the neutral temperature, you will feel good. When you pass the neutral temperature to coldness, you will feel bad again. You will want the air conditioner to go away. So it's not something in the air conditioner. It's same for food as well. If we are so hungry, we will find food very blissful. But if you keep on ingesting food for some time, your hunger will go away. Now you are full. Now you are neutral. And if you ingest more food past this point, you will start to feel uncomfortable. So the same food that was comfortable, very comfortable before, is now becoming uncomfortable. And after some time, you will start to throw up. And at that point, food has become so uncomfortable. So the same food can become comfortable in one scenario and uncomfortable in another, because it is not the taste is there. Even if you throw up, you will feel the taste. But taste is one thing. You liking the taste, or you thinking that taste is what, or the food is what gave you the blissful sensation, is another thing. So if you focus and think about how it gave the blissful sensation, you felt vexatious because you did not have food. You are so hungry. Now, anything that fills up your belly, any food can give you up that same sensation. Up until the neutral point, up until it hits the neutral point. So when it becomes neutral, you don't want food anymore. But if you are acting out of ignorance, you think that there's a component of bliss embedded in the food. So you tend to take it more and more. You try to experience that blissful sensation again and again. You want to experience it, and you think that it is embedded in the food. So you take more and try to get that blissful sensation out of the food. But you fail. And you learn a lesson that food is not tasty and delicious anymore. It happens to water. It's happened to everything you use in order to be blissful. So it's not the outside object. It's what you have as your mind and body. So it's now we took two examples. Those two examples are connected to body. Now, if we take another example that is connected to the mind, let's say you're listening to music. And initially what happens is we create a vexatious mind for a specific music track. Now, when we listen to it, we feel blissful. But if the blissful component was in the music, we will be able to listen to it when we need and get rid of the suffering. But we have this experience when we listen to a music couple of times, dozen of times, then the blissful component which we thought that is there in the music goes away. Now we feel music is good, but this piece of music doesn't make me feel good now. Now we have to find another piece of music. Happens to people who buy clothes. This happens to people who buy clothes all the time. When you're going by a department store, you see a nice outfit hanging in the showcase. Now you want to buy this. You think, and you go there and ask for the price. So you're asking for the price because you think that dress is valuable. You buy the dress and you come home. And you feel that the dress is not good anymore. Why is that? If the dress is 1,000 rupees, actually what now we know that actual value of the cloth is 0. Just like the AC was 0. Just like the food was 0. This cloth is also 0 rupees. What happens to us is our mind became minus 1,000. So when our mind is minus 1,000, we perceive that piece of cloth as plus 1,000. So we think that this cloth has value. Just like we gave value to the air conditioner. It was our body which was vexatious out of warmth. So it was what is 125,000 rupees minus 125,000, not the AC. But we perceive ourselves as 0. Always we perceive ourselves as neutral. So in order for us to become neutral, we have to add that 125,000 to the air conditioner. It's what happened to the piece of cloth as well, or dress as well. So now it's valuable. So you're minus 1,000 and you buy that piece of cloth which is neutral. And when you buy it, what happens is your vexation goes away. You feel blissful, you feel good that you bought this dress, and you feel neutral again because now you have the dress. Since you feel neutral, out of avidya, out of ignorance, you thought that this piece of cloth can give you happiness, but it can't because there was no happiness in a piece of cloth. So when you buy it, you think that you bought happiness, but you bought something neutral, and the vexation you had just went away since you bought it. Now you feel that this piece of cloth is not worth it. So you want to return it. So that's why most of the people's closets are full with clothes. They don't want to wear. Initially, they wanted to wear them. That's why they bought them. But after they buy it, now they don't want to wear it because we were acting out of avidya, ignorance. So this is what we need to understand. So we are always giving the outside item value. And in the process, we have become ignorant. And we are pursuing after materialistic things, materialistic goods, in order to be blissful, So anicca means you cannot get it according to your will. Your expectation is one thing and another thing happens. So your expectation is to get bliss, be happy by using outside items, external items, images, sounds, smells, tastes, and touches. But you are unable to do it. So it becomes anicca. What you think, what you want, your will become, or your expectation becomes irrelevant because you are having a wrong expectation. You are not seeing the truth, reality. So you are suffering in the process, dukkha. And this is a very senseless thing to do. There's no logic behind it. So when you understand this, the value given to the outside item becomes zero. And value given to the inside item or the internal item, internal organ, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body becomes negative. Because you know that now this body and mind is what drives me crazy, drives me to want these kind of unnecessary things, which are in fact neutral. My mind and body are tricking me to see mirage, and I get tricked all the time and chase after mirage, chase after mirage looking for water. That's what happens. You think that there's water in the mirage. So when you understand this, the value, now the value was the problem, value given to the world, it will become less and less. When you change your mindset so that there's the avidya or the value given to the world becomes less and less, you won't get vexatious out of these unnecessary things. True that you will become vexatious because of your bodily needs that cannot be reduced even with this kind of a mindset. But as we spoke, the pool of necessities or deficiencies you developed throughout time when you are becoming an adult can be reduced. So your needs and necessities have vastly increased when you become an adult. You want various kinds of unnecessary things now because your mind has become vexatious. It has become minus whatever the value, so that you feel all the items which are neutral in the external world as very precious. Now, without them, you cannot live. So, when you think in a reverse way, reverse pattern, you will end up having those basic needs of a human being which you had when you were born as an infant. So, your needs and necessities will go down and you will still be happy because your happiness was what you created by creating a vexatious mind and giving whatever the thing that is needed to get rid of that vexation. It's like we can give a nice analogy for this. So someone is hit with a baseball bat on the head, and now he is in pain. Now what we do is we stroke his head, and he feels good because we stroke his head after hitting him on the head. If we stroke a normal person's head, he will feel the touch of our hand. Other than that, there would be nothing blissful. But when someone is hit on the head by a baseball bat, let's say a gentle hit, and now we stroke his head, now he feels blissful. So if we ask the same person, if we ask the person that he likes being stroked on the head, the person would say yes. That's what happens when you don't see the full picture. Then to give him more pleasure, we will have to hit him again, so that he will become vexatious and he will feel the blissful sensation again. So this kind of a thing we do. We do this kind of a thing when it comes to our day-to-day life. We see a piece of cloth in a showcase at a department store, and we hit ourselves with a baseball bat, so we become very vexatious. The only way to get rid of this vexation is by buying this piece of cloth, and we buy that. Now we feel okay, but we think that the pleasure was embedded in the cloth, so we are not happy with the cloth, so we go back to the department store to return it and to find another cloth, or in other words, to find another baseball bat to hit on our heads, so that we feel vexatious again, so that we can buy that also. So if someone asks that this kind of a action is wise or not, you can straight away say that this is a very bad practice to earn pleasure. It's not worth it. So when you understand that, you tend to get away from this materialistic world. It happens gradually, little by little. Not that everything is understood in a second. You first understand the mechanism. You then try to focus on yourself, not on the outside world. You know that it is a problem in myself, not in the outside world. Not that you don't wear anything. You will wear clothes for the sake of covering up yourself and to get rid of coldness and harm from animals, mosquitoes and such. You will buy clothes, you will buy goods, you will buy things for you to become comfortable. But you know that these things doesn't have any value when it comes to pleasure. It's just to get rid of the discomforts you have, not to become pleasurable. Because the pleasure was generated in a different way, not from the outside items. So you know that now. So your thought process changes. When you think like this, as we spoke, the value given to the outside item, so you don't give value to the outside objects. You buy them because everybody gives a price of 1,000 rupees to that item, then you have to pay 1,000. You have to pay $100 on that item. But you know that it's a norm of the society, and in reality, this thing has no value. I'm just using this to get rid of whatever the discomfort I have, to be comfortable. I am using this vehicle, I am using this car to be comfortable and not to get attached to it, thinking that it has so much value, and that would be a problem. That would be a disaster, because when you buy it, when you own it, you don't feel that spark anymore. The other problem when it comes to the outside objects, external items, is that they decay and end up in destruction. They get destroyed over time. So if you are attached to something that get destroyed over time, then ultimately you know that you will end up in suffering. So you will have a vexatious mind, and this mind was, the vexatious mind was given the item, the external item, that it was seeking. So the mind feels blissful now. But this item which was given is something that gets destroyed over time, that can be stolen, that can be distorted, or anything can happen to it. So when something that gives pleasure to you is destroyed, that straight away becomes a problem, because now that vexatious mind comes back again. That vexatious nature was kept down, or it was reduced by that item, external item. But when it is gone, that vexatious mind comes back again. So it is not the external item. What we have to do, so this is why it's temporary. It comes back again when it ends up in death and decay. So we call it Jara Marana. Jara means changing its composition to destruction, and Marana means death or destruction at the end, over time, which happens over time. So when this happens, that vexatious mind, which was suppressed by the relevant item, comes back again. So it becomes a temporary measurement. So what we can do is, can get rid of the vexatious mind itself. So vexatious minds comes because we give value to an item that has no value. So think about a person who doesn't like clothes much, doesn't like outfits much. So he or she also is wearing clothes, but for the sake of wearing, not because they like them or they give value to them, because it's what's necessary. They are using them because it's what's necessary. So let's say a person doesn't give value to these clothes, loses a piece of cloth or a dress. Now he'll move on to another in his closet, and he won't feel any dissatisfaction, discomfort because of losing that piece of cloth. But if you have a discomfort or a vexatious mind generated prior to buying this, and if you bought it, you are just suppressing that vexatious mind. And if it's gone, that mind will come back again. And you will feel very vexatious. So to get rid of that, you will want to buy another cloth. But the correct way to get rid of that suffering is to understand this reality and the mechanism behind it, so that you don't give value to the outside objects, so that your mind becomes neutral. So that's what, and this is a way to explain what was understood by Supreme Buddha when understanding the reality of the world, anicca, dukkha, and anatta. He understood that if you are going after pleasure, bliss, this is a wrong way. We are using the wrong way. So in order to be pleasurable or be blissful, the way is to do the quite opposite of what we are doing right now. So we detach, we get rid of attachments that are created. These attachments are created because of giving value to these outside items. When you give value, you automatically attach. So when you don't give value, you automatically get separated. When you get separated from these external items, you don't care what happens to these items. Even if they were stolen, even if they got broke, even anything happens, you don't have a problem, because you are not emotionally attached to these items. Now, in Buddhism, what it says is, when you have less suffering, that is blissful. So when there are zero suffering, that's the maximum bliss you can have. Now that's not something you feel. Let's say you are studying for an exam and you finally sit for the exam. Now after coming home, you feel relieved, because now that burden is out of your shoulders. So now you are not experiencing a special kind of touch or a special kind of external item. You're not feeling anything. You're just not feeling any burden. That itself become very blissful. So that's the theory behind this. You're not experiencing a specific kind of blissful sensation out of it. You are just not feeling any suffering feelings. So that itself is blissful. When that goes to 100%, that's the ultimate bliss you can have. That's the supreme bliss of Nibbana. There's zero suffering when it comes to the suffering created by avidya. Only the suffering created by avidya can be removed by this method. You cannot remove the suffering related to your body. It needs. You will still want to have lunch and have food. You still want to use the washroom. That will still be there. But the suffering related to the avidya, or suffering that was created out of avidya, ignorance, would be gone. And that itself is blissful. So that's what we wanted to discuss today. So I hope you understood what today's discussion was about. And if you have any questions regarding what we discussed so far, you can ask and we'll go on with the discussion.
I have given permission for you to unmute yourselves, and please turn the video on, and please ask any questions if you have. Or you can raise hand if you want, and I can ask you to unmute. So since nobody is coming forward yet, so one of the questions I have is, so when you are talking about pleasure, that pleasure is something that is essentially dependent on something. So, which is the sort of wrong or incorrect happiness. So the Nibbana is actually lack of suffering, and also it is. Can you say that it is the happiness independent of any external objects?
Yeah. So when it comes to Nibbana, so we are focusing on something that is not felt. So it cannot be grasped with your five senses. You cannot feel Nibbana through your eyes or ears or your nose, tongue or body. Still you cannot experience, or you can experience Nibbana through wisdom. That's a component in your mind, not with your thoughts, but with your wisdom. So here what happens is you do not try to grasp onto something. So everything you feel pleasurable in the external world is by grasping onto something. Even if it's a thought, you have to think about the day you pass the exam or whatever the thing, then you will feel blissful. You will have to see the images that about that past event had, you were successful or something, and then you will feel blissful. You will have to listen to the music track you like so much, so you will feel blissful. You will have to smell whatever the perfume or the nice smells to become blissful. You will have to have that a delicious plate of food to be blissful. You will have to get the smooth touch or fine touch of whatever the nice couch to be blissful. So you have to associate with something in order to be blissful when it comes to this external world or the materialistic world. But when it comes to Nibbana, what you feel is, I was suffering because before this, not knowing, without knowing about anything about this external world, being like a ignorant person who was chasing after these external objects to feel pleasurable. That's what I did before. And in the process, I had to work so hard in order to chase after these kind of things, because everyone is chasing after these kinds of things. So I also have to chase in order to give a fair competition so that I can acquire or own these kind of objects that give pleasure to me. So that was one. And these kinds of things, I have to now protect these kinds of external objects that gives pleasure to me. So I was trying hard, and I was afraid that I will lose these external items. So I tried to hang on to these things, try to secure these things by having big walls, security cameras and stuff. And I was trying to maintain this kind of a lifestyle throughout, trying to and I was spending my energy, my time, and I was very busy doing these kinds of things. Only for what? For nothing. Because it's all a scam in our head. It's all a ignorant way of thinking. So when you understand that, you think about all the sufferings you faced because of not thinking straight, not thinking correctly. And you understand that now I think correctly. Now I know the reality. Now I know what can give me happiness. And that is getting rid of suffering. Getting rid of suffering is what can make me happy. So that is not something you feel using your five senses. It is something you feel out of your wisdom. You feel out of your wisdom. I felt so much. I was going through so much suffering because of not knowing this, and because now I know this, I have zero suffering. Oh, very ready. The suffering is getting reduced day by day, and when I practice this, I feel very neutral. I feel, and this neutral nature is being liked by that person who follows the pathway, and he doesn't want pleasure in that sense, in the materialistic sense of point of view. He don't want that kind of a pleasure now. So if you want that kind of a pleasure, then comes the burden, suffering attached to it. It's like you cannot have a coin with head only. You get head and tail both. You get two sides to a coin. You cannot have a one-sided coin. You cannot have up and you cannot have the sky and forget about the flow. You get both. If you are thinking about right side, then automatically you will get a left side. If you think about one side of a coin, then you will automatically get the other side of the coin as well. So to get rid of both sides, what you can do is you can get rid of both sides. So you understand that this is pointless. This pathway that you are trying to find bliss through is pointless, so that you get rid of the you give up on the pleasures, these materialistic pleasures, so that you will get rid of the suffering attached to it as well. So you will get rid of the coin, but you cannot get rid of one side of a coin, because other side will automatically be there if there's one side. So the pleasure or the ultimate bliss is something you feel through your wisdom. So it can be if you go through this kind of a thought process, it will be generated in your mind. It's kind of a feeling of relief. You feel relieved. So we call it Viveka Nishrita. You feel very relaxed, and that peace is what you find valuable, and it is free of raga, dvesha, and moha. So we'll discuss on that raga, dvesha, and moha in a separate discussion. So Nibbana, in other words, is ragakya, dveshakya, mohakya. That means no raga, no dvesha, and no moha. Void of raga, dvesha, and moha. So that is what Nibbana is. So you have no attachments, zero attachments. So this is actually the extreme end of Nibbana. So you cannot straight away step on the other end. You just have to follow the pathway, understand the reality, and think about what I am doing wrong. How am I making my life more and more suffering due to not knowing the truth, and try to educate yourself and try to understand that these kinds of things I have to let go if I am to become enlightened or blissful, and work on your way gradually to the other end. So that's the theory.
Chanuka Mahalle, please ask a question.
Okay.
Yeah,
sure. Can you please explain more of dukkha? Is it the suffering you get in the process of attaining pleasure? I was a bit confused upon that particular concept.
Right. So dukkha means there's a component of suffering attached to the process of trying to achieve this kind of a pleasure. But initially what you get is a vexation. Only after vexation you are pursuing after something. So that vexation part is also suffering. Going after that external item that reduces this vexation is also suffering. And when it becomes everything that is created in this world will finally end up in destruction. It's a matter of time. So when it gets destroyed, when it gets decayed, when it becomes something that you don't want, think about a car. So it gets rusty over the years. It becomes old, and you don't get the brand new look after some time. And finally, after 10 or 20 years, it will become a piece of metal. So that also is a suffering component. There's a suffering component attached to that as well. So you buy a brand new home and it becomes old day by day. It becomes dirty day by day, and you feel, now I have to paint it up. I have to repair it. Why? Because now you cannot feel that blissful sensation out of the house you initially bought. So it is becoming old. So now what you do, you patch it up with something, you paint it, you do something to make it the look. You try to make the outside look better, and you try to see that, and you try to feel that, and you try to be blissful again. But in this process, you always lose. In the end, you will always lose. Still, you cannot get the original look of your house, and you try to do it. And this trying is always vexatious. You will have to work, you will have to earn, you will have to do everything, and still you will lose in the end, because it will anyway get destroyed at the end. So that's another dukkha or suffering. So the initial dukkha is due to giving value to this kind of item without understanding. If you could understand that this only can be used for my comfort, for my daily needs, then that's fine. Then you won't have that problem. You will just patch it up with something and you will be happy. You won't be a slave to your house. When you get attached so much, what happens is you become a slave to that object. You do whatever the object says you. If it says to clean me, then you will clean it. If it says to insure me, then you will insure the vehicle. If it says that it needs to be washed, then you will wash it. So that's what happens. So when you attach to so many things, you will become a slave of so many objects. Now you don't have time to do anything. Your life is so complicated. You have to earn to give or maintain these kinds of items. You have to work, and you have to do all kinds of things to maintain these items. So you become a slave of your own mind. Meaning,
So, like,
you'll become, yeah.
So like a similar analogy to that, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I stray off the path a little bit, but I was wondering if, like, for example, it's like becoming rich. Like, it's like a poor person who was initially poor when, like, say, for example, you came to the United States from Sri Lanka and you were initially poor, but you eventually got your job, you got a good house, you eventually then become rich. But then, like, after buying stuff and like doing other pleasurable things, you find that no matter how much you get, it's like you want to get more. Like, if like, for example, if I'm making $30 at a job, I would like to go up to higher pay, but like the more higher pay I go up onto, it's like I don't seem to get that pleasure. No matter how much I get, I do not receive it, basically. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's why it said that it's a dead end. So you try. So think about Elon Musk. So
okay.
As we know, he's the most earned person in this world right now. So the highest or the mainly a billionaire. So what happens with him is when he earns more and more, since he doesn't know about this kind of spiritual, he doesn't have a spiritual understanding as such. So initially he wants to go to moon. So that's not a necessity or a requirement in a normal person's bucket list. So when you earn more and more, since you get all the things, your vexations are met, or they are being removed by the since you can buy all the things you want with the money you have. Now you get various kinds of other needs, so that you can be pleasurable. Because when you have vexation, and when the item or the external item is given to that vexatious mind, then you become neutral. So it's just like you doing an exam. So initially, what happens when you study for an exam, you feel very you feel suffered. You are suffering a lot. You are studying. You are doing hard work, and at the end, when you do the exam, and when you are waiting for results, let's say you are in a room alone, waiting for your results, and your friend comes and opens the door and tells you that you have become the first of the batch. You are the first. You have done very well, and you have become first of your batch. And you feel a very what do you call a spike of pleasure at that very moment you hear this. But you say to that same person, no, I want to feel this pleasure again and again. So I worked hard for this so much. I worked hard so much time. I spent so much of my time for to prepare for this exam, and now that pleasure is gone in a second. Now I don't want that to happen. I want to feel this pleasure for at least for another few days. So close the door behind me and come back again and tell me the exact same words to me, so that I can become pleasure. I can become blissful again. So he does the same thing, and he opens the door and tells this person again, now you have become the first of your batch. Now, can he experience the same pleasure he experienced a while ago? No, he cannot. That's not how it works. If you want to experience the same pleasure that he experienced before, you will have to enroll for another exam, just like hitting on the baseball bat and trying to rub it off with your hand, so that you will feel pleasure. So that's what happens. So when it happens, what happens to the billionaire is also he is trying to be happy. Everyone is trying to be happy. So now, when let's say he achieved his target to go to Mars, now he feel pleasure, blissful. But going again to Mars doesn't give that same kind of pleasure to him. So now he has to raise his bar again. Now he'll have to go to another planet in the solar system, a faraway planet, or maybe to another solar system. That's how it works. So however much you try to complete your life, or think that this is where I will stop. No, that's not the case. You will still, it's like filling up a bucket of water, or a water bucket with holes under it. So however much you try to fill it up, it will go from the other end. So the water will leak, and you will have time, and you will have room for it to be filled. So you will do this filling the water bucket thing for eternity, and still you won't get satisfied. So that's what happens.
And the solution to that is basically try to be comfortable with the things you have while not being attached, right? And this leads me on to another question, which is say something was required, like say I was an accountant or a lawyer, and I was competing with a whole bunch of people to get a job. How would I practice Buddhism in like what you said, like during the beginning of this lecture, like in that kind of case? Like, how would I go about practicing that kind of mentality? Basically, would I have to change my thinking in order to do that? or like would I have to approach like that same problem from a different angle? Like I was wondering if you can expand more upon like coming to that problem with Buddhism and like from the angle of the Buddhist perspective. So I was wondering if you can please expand more upon that.
Yeah. So you said you have something to do with this job opportunity or something, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So so this is now when it comes to Buddhism and when it comes to our life, what happens is we have priorities. So everyone's basic priority is to live. So after that, so that's to think without any problem. So you want to if your thinking is compromised, then that's the number one priority. You don't want that to happen. So after that, your body. So you will say you have your arm and you have your finger. So if someone says now your finger needs to be removed, otherwise you will lose your life or you will lose your arm, then you will get rid of the finger. You will say, okay, I'll get rid of the finger, but I want my arm to be intact or arm to work. So that's how the priority goes. So when it comes to life, it's the number one priority. So after that, then your body. So what is needed to maintain your body? Then comes your parents, your loved ones, and your job and everything. So they are surrounding your they are surrounding you, and you are in the center. So after that, there's your friends and your everybody and other external items that gives pleasure in whatever the way they give them. That means when you move out from the center, which is in the center, of course there's you, and when you move outwards from the center, you find things less pleasurable and you give less value to them, and the importance that you give to those items become less and less. That's a hierarchy from you being at your mind, your will to live being at the center of it. So when you have a job, so you are doing that to earn so that you can lead a good life, so that you can get rid of this discomforts you have, hunger and warmth and everything, coldness, everything. So that's why you are doing this kind of a job. So you can compete and you can do what is necessary to get that job, because if we are living in this kind of a society where external goods are limited and everyone is trying to acquire them, so we'll have to give a challenge, otherwise we'll lose. But what we have to understand is that's a when it comes to Nibbana, if you're trying to if you're trying to develop spiritually and attain Nibbana, you will have to go for Samma Ajiva. Samma Ajiva means your lifestyle is to your priority number one is to attain Nibbana. So that happens when you understand this concept fully. So everything starts to revolve around Nibbana, not the other way around. It doesn't work like that. So when you understand with your wisdom that fully, with your wisdom that Nibbana is the only, again, what I say is if you understand Nibbana as the priority or Nibbana as the ultimate goal in your life, because as we discussed, throughout human history and throughout our lives as well, we were trying to find something blissful every day with our every practice, with our actions. We going to have food, we going to work, everything is connected to connected with our bliss or the mental and physical physical satisfaction. So if when you understand with wisdom that Nibbana is the only what do you call answer to this problem, then it becomes number one, and everything starts to revolve around it. So that your job also, you're doing your job because you need to be comfortable, and because you need to be you need to get rid of those sufferings, so physical, mental, and everything. So you are doing that, but you are doing it so that your pathway to Nibbana becomes easy. So that's how it changes for an Arya person. So when that happens, what you will do is you will still compete, because without competition you won't get anything in this materialistic world, because a job is something you have to deal with in the materialistic world. So what you have to deal in the materialistic world, you will have to deal in that way. So when it comes to Nibbana, you will deal it in another way. So when it comes to this normal lifestyle, you will still compete, but you will know that this is my limit. I don't want this much. I don't. Basically, I am saying that when it comes to that billionaire, so that you will not want that much of money to spend a basic lifestyle, so that your priorities are met. Otherwise, you will overdo, and you will earn more and more, and still your happiness will be not met. So there's no value. Just like your life will get so complicated, you will not have time for anything you planned before. You will not have whatever the pleasure you wanted, but you will think that you are going after something, just like a deer going after a mirage looking for water, and nothing good will come out of that. So you know that without a job you cannot last. So you will work, you will try to get a reasonable whatever the reasonable is also according to you. It depends on you. Some might settle with a job that pays this small amount of money. Someone will want a higher paying job, but that's their preference, and that preference will come to a minimum when practicing. With the practice, you will see that I don't want this much of money. And then after some time, the same person will say, no, I don't want at least this much of money. And it will go down and down until it comes to a bare minimum of 4 needs. That means food, shelter, clothes, and medicine. Those are the 4 needs a human being needs to survive in this world. So when it comes to a monk, that's the basic need we look for. So without that, we cannot live. Without food, without clothes, without shelter, without medicine. So that's the basic need that a person would need. So finally, you will end up there. But initially, what you need to understand is you have to understand the current situation you are in individually. So in this situation, in this scenario, I am going after this kind of a profession. So I am doing it whether to because of these materialistic things, or I am doing it to meet my needs. So if it goes above meeting your needs, then you have to think about whether you are complicating your life so that the so-called pleasure you wanted will not anyway be there, because now your life is so complicated. Now your work is so what do you call complex. So you have to put extra effort because of that, and in the what you get in return is not what you seek.
One question about that. Say you were like trying your best to maybe like, support your family, or maybe even like find the cure for COVID-19, like if you were a doctor and so on. How would I pursue that kind of ambition without getting attached to the goal? Like, because that is something like every human being would need, right? To be comfortable, basically, right? So how would I, like, say if I was a doctor or a specialist, how would I basically, attain that particular ideology?
Yeah. Now, that in that sense, you are not attached to it. So you can say that you are attached to curing COVID. Yeah. So, but when it comes to your pleasure, or when it comes to materialistic things, you are not attached to the materialistic things there. So you are attached to doing good. So that is not something bad. So when you are practicing the pathway to Nibbana, it says that you have to do kusal and get rid of akusal. So when you are getting rid of akusal, you are doing good things and you are getting rid of bad things. So especially 10 immoral actions. So what it says in the eightfold pathway, which is the ultimate pathway to Nibbana, is you have to get rid of killing and hurting, and stealing or robbing, and unethical relationships. That those are the three things that we are getting rid of when it comes to bodily actions. Then when it comes to words, you are getting rid of lying, slandering, using harsh words, and using meaningless words. So those are the four things that we are refraining from doing when it comes to words. And when it comes to thoughts, we are getting rid of maliciousness, greediness, and wrong and distorted views. So those are the 10 immoral actions that we are refraining from doing when we are following the ultimate pathway. So when you are doing a good thing, that can be actually attached to the pathway, so that I am helping the people, so that me and everyone could attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. It's the way how you think about it. So you are changing your idea. So let's say you are helping to cure the COVID-19 crisis, so that you can earn more and more and be happy because you have a lot of money. So that's a totally different scenario. Another person can be in the same field, same profession, but his idea is, I am helping people. I am not concerned with the materialistic things I get from this to a greater degree, but I am concerned about helping these people so that they can become cured, and so that me and everyone else can get rid of the disease of samsara. So if that's the way you think, then you can pursue in that aspect without getting a problem to the pathway you are practicing.
Okay, I think that answered all of my questions. I understood that perfectly. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Anyone else?
Thiruvan Saranai Hamdurne, are there any other questions? Please come forward. Thank you. Since there are no questions, may I ask a personal questions from you?
Sure.
You were a practicing medical doctor and physician, and what changed your mind to enter this path? And could you please explain so that we will understand what went on and how you become a monk? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So, when I was practicing, I was in the medical school actually in the final year. So, when I got to know about this Dhamma, so the pure Dhamma, or the reality of the world. So, what I understood was my pursuit was to go after materialistic things as everyone else would have been. So I was trying to become a good doctor and try to become successful, and my career was to be a a well renowned and what do you call well looked doctor. So, but what I understood is, but even though I was in that process, I won't be able to get what I need. So initially, when I was doing O levels, A levels, and even during the scholarship exam of grade 5, I thought that after this thing, I would achieve bliss. After O levels, I would be in peace. My happiness will be there, and I won't have to do anything hard to maintain or to achieve bliss. So after even going to the medical school, I understood that it's not the case. We have to work so hard, and still what we achieve goes away, or the pleasure we achieve goes away, and we have to work hard to maintain or to keep that pleasure to a certain degree at least. So when it comes to when I was in the fourth or third year, so I got to know about these preachings. So when I listened to them, I understood that even if I become a doctor, this won't end. And my aim in life will not be met if I proceeded in this pathway, because no one will, because it's the reality. So I decided I would get rid of this wrong career that I was following, and I would work on another or a worthy cause. So me and everyone else could be helped in this samsara, so that everyone could attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana, so that they will finally attain the bliss they actually wanted throughout this samsara. Otherwise, if we have practiced that old pathway, say I might have become a doctor during my sansaric journey, I don't know how many times, maybe millions of times, but still in this life also, if I decided to do the same thing, it's like having a meal to get rid of hunger, and you know that it will come back again. And for lunch also, you will have to have a meal, you'll have to have food, and it will come back again. At dinner, you will still have to have food. And if you had a eternal life I don't think a sound person or a good person with a good mind would find out whether you can escape this kind of problem. Now, when you think about it, it becomes problematic. Why do you want to get rid of food or get rid of the possibility of having a delicious meal? But if you really think about it, when you don't have that problem, you don't have that problem. If, let's say, all the human beings in the world doesn't need to have food, and you are the only one who needs to have food, then that would be a big problem. Nobody is selling food. You just have to go and find food for yourself, and everyone else is doing their work. They don't have to stop for lunch. They don't have to stop for dinner. They don't feel hungry. Even if there's no food, they won't feel a problem with that. Then that would be a problem. Because everyone else is having it, everyone else becomes hungry. We also don't find a problem with that. So we eat all the time, when we are not trying to get rid of the hunger once and for all. That's Nibbana. So we were doing that same thing again and again, and I thought I might have done this so many times, and there's no value in doing it again and getting into the old trap again and again. So let's make a difference and try to get rid of this problem, get rid of the problem of samsara, and get rid of the sufferings that is inflicted on myself out of avidya. So that's what I thought.
තෙරුවන් සරණයි හාමුදුරනේ. question එකක් තියෙනවා.
තෙරුවන් සරණයි ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ.
Everyone said.
It's an honor to have you in this forum. So for especially our children or non-Buddhist individuals can get to know this path. My question, I know you have been talking for 2 hours. We don't want to make you too tired. If you can explain briefly that if there is a person who is not exposed to Buddhist teachings, and a day like this, we get to know the basics, and what are the initial steps they can take to begin this journey?
Yeah, sure. So when it comes to Buddhism, it says it's a journey of wisdom. So initially what you have to do is you have to develop wisdom. So then there's a pathway. So secondly, there's a pathway. So initially dasanena pahatabba, and then there's bhavanaya pahatabba. So dasanena pahatabba means you have to listen and learn what the teachings is all about. So you have to understand how this differs from your usual perspective, usual way of understanding about world and about reality. So when you understand that there's a different way where we do the quite opposite of what we were practicing before, and that actually does the work. When you get that idea, or even out of wisdom, if you understand that this can work and this is the way to go, then you are ready for the other step. So to understand that also, you have to have some kind of a good lifestyle, what you call a peaceful and healthy lifestyle. So the 10 immoral actions I told you before. So if you are doing those kinds of things, then it is very hard to understand this kind of a very fine ideology. So you should have a very peaceful and a very kind and caring mindset in order to even to identify or understand this kind of concept. Otherwise, you realize what we are talking about. So the three things that should be refrained from doing when it comes to we call it laukika sammaditthi, or there are two kinds of sammaditthi. Or sammaditthi means when you understand the reality, when it comes to Buddhism and Buddhist ideology and the reality, that is called Lokottara Sammaditthi or supramundane Sammaditthi. And there's a mundane Sammaditthi as well. That is the how to live or how to operate in this normal world without being a problem to others. So in that Sammaditthi, it says you have to refrain from killing and hurting people. You have to refrain from stealing or robbing others people, so unlawfully obtaining objects from others. So, and the third one is having unethical relationships, so that can harm the society and individuals as well. So the four things that should be refrained from doing when it comes to words: lying, slandering, using harsh words on individuals, and using meaningless words. And the other three that should be refrained from thoughts are the maliciousness and greediness and having wrong and distorted views. So this having wrong and distorted views goes to a very should go to a in-depth discussion. So we are getting rid of ideas like there's so if you have good and right views about life, then you will help your parents. You will not think that they are and you will do your responsibilities and duties towards them and to the society and such. So if you have good views about world, so these are mundane, but the correct views you should have in order to understand the core principles of Dhamma. So when you understand the core principles, you will go a step ahead, ahead of this mundane Sammaditthi to supramundane level, where you understand why actually you should do these things in the way that we discussed before. So you know the logic behind it. So that's why when it comes to supramundane or Buddhism, it's always there's always a component of wisdom attached to it. So when you have wisdom, you know why you are doing these things. You are not doing it out of because someone is telling you to do. So that's why you need the wisdom to be developed. That's why you need the sermons or listening to the sermons initially. And when you listen and when you understand and comprehend what is being told, then you will have your own wisdom developed, and you will on your own know how to get rid of suffering without anyone's help. So that's the basic idea.
Thank you so much, Hamdrone. Bing Thiruvan Saranai.
Thiruvan Saranai, Hamdrone. So are there any other questions from the audience? So Thero has been talking for almost 2 hours and 15 minutes. I think it is time to conclude this Dhamma discussion for today. And we are planning to meet again in 2 weeks, same time. And please join us. And I have a question from our Venerable Thero. Is anybody, young person, needs any consultation outside this forum? Is it okay for them to contact you in some way and discuss any other questions that might have personally or any other way?
Yeah, sure. It's okay. You can, I don't know what way we can, I think, discuss it with via WhatsApp or something. I don't know. Maybe that's not issue. If you have a question, you can always find a way.
So may I share the phone number through chat here so that people participating in today can have?
I think it's better if someone asked, and if you could give the number, that would be better. I think that, yeah.
No problem. So if you need Thero's number, please, you have my number and you can contact me. The number, the Zoom ID 662-402-5998 is actually my phone number too. So please contact me if you need to contact Thero. And so I'm respectfully inviting our Venerable Thero to pass merits so that we can conclude this session.
Okay, today everyone gathered here to understand the reality of the world, the way how Supreme Buddha understood and preached everyone else in the universe to also understand and proceed, so that all the suffering related to samsara is diminished. So for almost 15 minutes, we were able to practice and we were able to listen to Dhamma, and the meritorious power that is generated through these actions are immeasurable and will ultimately help us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. And all the people who made this event a success, everyone who gathered and everyone who was listening, who were praising this act of generosity and act of goodwill, may all of them attain, may all of them get meritorious deeds, may all of them get meritorious power that would help them to realize, to understand the reality of the world, ultimately accomplishing the supreme bliss of Nibbana. May they remove, may all the hindrances and barriers to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana, or the eightfold pathway, which is the ultimate pathway to the Nibbana, may get diminished. All the barriers may get diminished, and may they understand, may they acquire the light of wisdom, ultimately accomplishing the supreme bliss of Nibbana. And all the past relations, all the everyone who helped us during the sansaric journey, everyone who were hurted and harmed by us without knowing what is right and what is wrong, all the devas, brahmas, humans and non-humans, who are relations and non-relations, and who have liabilities towards us, may attain, may get this meritorious power regardless of wherever they are in this universe. May they be happy about what we were doing. May they refrain from doing sins. May they understand the reality of the world, ultimately accomplishing the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Send this meritorious power with a sadhukara.
Sadhu,
Sadhu.
So may everyone attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Theruvan Sarana.
Silavantam gunavantam jnanitang anuttarang dullabena mayalathang pasitum vanditum viparang sariputtadi teranam agatam katipati sadha silam dhanavasam buddhaputtang namah.
Sadhu.
Theruvan Sarana.